Now today, I have three 5 gigahertz devices here in my hands. Some that use C5 chips, some that use others, and some that aren't even out yet. I'm going to explain what the difference between 2.4 gigahertz is and 5 gigahertz, why it's such a big deal that we are finally here at 5 gigahertz, and which out of these three devices is the best. Now, it's really hard because they all do their own things better, but without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, we're going to be doing this in 5 tests to see which ones are better at their own things. So that is going to be the price, the recon capabilities, the attack testing features. I mean, it's all for educational purposes, guys, but the expandability and the compatibilityness, because some of these go with other devices and some of them go with themselves and some are made for other devices. But those are the 5, and before we get into that, what is 5 gigahertz and what's different than 2.4 gigahertz, and why is this such a big deal that these devices came out? Now, these are my 5 gigahertz devices so far, and as you can see, there's only 3, and we're not talking about this prototype board at the moment. It is a C5 device, and I love showing it off, but we're going off between these 3 devices and what they all do specifically. Before that, though, I was going to talk about 5 gigahertz and why it matters, and it's easy to do with the Awok boards. So here is a 2.4 gigahertz Awok device, and here is a C5 device. Now, it may be kind of hard to see with these cases on, but I will say it does not have to do with the antenna. This just has an external one. This has an internal one. But let's talk about this. So the ESP32S3 was really the main device used, or the main processor used in all of these devices. I mean, the DN key uses an S3. All of them use S3 for Wi-Fi, basically. C5 came out, and it's such a big deal because it's a new chip. So there's not many tools or boards, like no boards at all in the community, that have a C5 on them. The only ones I can think of are the ones I have right here, and this guy doesn't even have an ESP32. It uses something else, which we'll talk about. And then like the Poltergeist board by Rabbit Labs. Now, 5 gigahertz has much stricter than 2.4. So it has more DFS channels, more region certifications, and it's harder to make a radio do certain things on these frequencies. That's why 2.4 gigahertz is such a vulnerability. And most Wi-Fi security tools are built for 2.4 gigahertz. I mean, I have so many devices here, and most of them do actually use 2.4 gigahertz. And that is because it's really been what's been around for the most. With the Wi-Fi Pineapple Pager, we also have 6 gigahertz, which is maybe the next step up. And it's cool that these devices are out already in this ecosystem with devices that don't have it yet. The computer has a stamp S3, which means no, you can't do C5. Does it make it a bad device? No, especially with, I hate to say this, the Flipper Zero, for example. It doesn't have a Wi-Fi board at all. If it did, though, it would be an S3. The expandability ports on the top make it so you can add a Awok board, for example, through the GPIO. Now, they do different stuff, like I said. The Banshee can communicate between the 2 chips. Pager doesn't have ESPs. It uses something else. But the Awok can't communicate between the 2 chips. And we're going to talk more about the devices in general, and we're going to go over each like a mini review. If you want to learn more, I have videos on each one of these devices, full length, like 10 minutes, so you guys can learn the most out of it. But it requires more precise RF design with the antennas, the way the power is handled, and the full way that the boards are used. So you can't expose all the capabilities when it's not even all available yet. But without further ado, let's talk about our first device of the evening, that being the Awok Dual C5. Now, this is our only device here with 2 C5s in it, and that is because, well, it has more than it needs, and that is for 2 reasons, and obviously the more you have, the better. But when it comes to the Awok device, you can't use both like this. So here you just get a battery pack, you can slap it on. How it's supposed to be used is with a Flipper Zero. You just plug it in like this. Now, obviously, a great device. It has so many features that we're about to go into, but you can't use both ESP32s. So if you don't have a Flipper Zero, you're kind of like, well, what could I do with this one? Because they cannot communicate. So, meanwhile, you could do attacks on your Flipper Zero, like a deauth attack, while at the same time spamming with the Awok. It makes it so you could do 2 attacks at once, but you kind of lose the ability of using both ESP32 C5s at once with the device when you have it by itself. So, you still can use it. I mean, I think Awok plugged one into his computer or another device like that and then was able to use the other C5. I haven't seen much about that, and I haven't heard many people talking about that, and it's definitely a keynote on this device. The other thing is, we don't really know the price. Okay, and I'm just going to say that. Question mark. Now, with the Awok S3, it's $160 for this guy, and that's a really good deal compared to these other devices. I'm not going to make any assumption of how much this device is going to cost because I don't want to blow it out of the water or make it too far underneath. All I know, he's a good guy, and these devices are super cool, and at most times reasonable costs, because this device is not out yet. There's only 5 of these in the world made, and one of them was sent to me for review, so if you want to check out a video, I have one on that. But on your Dual C5, we're about to get into the cool stuff about this device, and one is the external GPS. So you do have an external GPS, just like the Banshee, to get way better GPS range when you're war driving. So, for example, we have all of our Wi-Fi stuff. So we're going to have our sniffers, our scanners, our war driving, our attacks, and our general. And we're going to compare recon and all that stuff soon. But when we go to sniffers, we can see the deauth sniff, packet scan, detect Ponegachis, detect Wi-Fi pineapples, detect multiple SSIDs. And it is going to be powerful because you could scan so many different things in the environment around you. It's not only about attack. It's about learning what frequencies look like, like here we have a channel analyzer or a packet monitor. And you're going to be able to see these frames and what they look like. Now, I just started this if you leave it going in your car because I am in my basement. So there's not going to be many frames down here. But we do also have our scanners. So we could do ping scan, port scans, telnet scans, DNS scans. We could do our war driving, which all of these devices can do amazingly. The pager doesn't have it built in, but we'll talk about that in 1 minute. And then we have our attacks. Now, our attacks, we have a bunch of powerful ones. We have the deauth flood, AP clone spam, the deauth targeted, add MSG. I mean, you're going to have all these features, and they're built into the Marauder firmware. With the pager, you don't have your attacks built in. All you have is a deauth, and then you can either write the payloads yourself or download a bunch of them. This guy comes with the Marauder, and you're going to have all your stuff built in. It makes it an easier device to learn than a few of these other devices, but it also makes it a super powerful device because you're going to have all the features right here, baked in, ready to go. Now, I do love my C5, and I use it almost daily because it's one of the best devices out there. And these devices really make me think, which one do I want to carry more? And I always carry my pager because I love it. I always war drive with my Banshee because it's the best war driver. And I always use my C5 because it's a small device and it has compatibility with my Flipper Zero. And I guess I carry that thing around too. But let's go on to the next device, the Wi-Fi Pineapple Pager. Now, priced at the big 300 and the most expensive device we have here today. The Wi-Fi Pineapple Pager is first off, a new device by the company Hack5, one of the biggest companies out there for this type of tech stuff and the cybersecurity space. Now, what makes the Wi-Fi Pineapple Pager different is, unlike the Banshee that uses C5, or unlike the Awok that uses C5, this guy has a mini Linux computer built into it. And you're not going to be using ESPs like this, and it's a lot more powerful for your attacks. You're not just using ESP32, you have a full computer baked into this guy. So you have your payloads, and like I was talking about, you have Evil Portal, Meshtastic, and you do have boards that can go on the side too. If GPS is a big thing for you, I do not know if the pager would be the best option. Now here are a few of the boards. We have an Ethernet one, we have a Meshtastic one, and we have the GPS one. You attach it on the side, and I will say, there is a bunch of people who go war driving with their pagers, and personally, I like war driving with my Banshee, like I said. And I'll talk about that in a minute. It does have GPS, though, if you want to expand. And the sweet thing about this is, unlike, I keep bringing it up, but the Flipper Zero, where you have GPIO, or the Porta Pack, where you have GPIO. Specifically with the Flipper Zero, everybody uses it, but with the Porta Pack, you don't use it. So with a device like this, no, they don't want to add GPIO, where you have these boards here, and you'll have to buy like 10 more boards just to attach onto this device, and 10 Flipper boards, 10, all these other stuff. So you just have the USB, which is universal, and you could expand a lot through here. Now, we do also have our recon. You're able to literally see the packets in the air as we speak, along with our Wi-Fi networks. Now, I'm not trying to dox myself, so I'm not going to show these, but here we go. Ghost Net. Now, this is being projected off of my Banshee, and we can see who's connected to it. Nobody. We could do a targeted payload at this device, or the Wi-Fi network, or we could add it to a filter, a pool, or deauth everybody off the network. And if there's a certain person connected, we could deauth them, or we could just make it so they can't join again. And then we also have our Pine AP. Now, the Pine AP is very powerful. This is where you're going to have your open networks, and you're going to be broadcasting fake networks to educational purposes, of course, like I said before. But the Pineapple Pager comes in this glorious case. I mean, It's kind of hard to pick up on the camera, but it's like the shiny color. It's a pretty tiny device, especially compared to the Awok. I'd say they're about the same size. Awok is a little, Pager's a little thicker. This guy's a little wider, and I'd say they're both the same length. But this next device is absolutely massive, and that is the Banshee by the Wired Hatters. No, I love this because all three companies went a different way with Wi-Fi and 5 gigahertz. You'd think everybody would do it the same. But like I said, with the Awok, you have two C5s in it. This guy, you don't have any C5s, you have a computer. And this guy, you have one S3 and one C5 that are able to communicate. Now, the S3 does 2.4 gigahertz really well. So you're going to have that guy in here. And you're also going to have the C5 for 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi networks. And this is the multi-tool of 5 gigahertz. I mean, this guy's really good for Wi-Fi attacks, I feel like. This is really good for analyzing your airspace. This guy's a multi-tool of Wi-Fi and Ethernet and all this stuff. And I love how it is compatible with other devices. So first off, it is the only device here with RGB LEDs down the side. We have two ways of moving around. None of these devices are touchscreen. Other than, oh well, I guess the Awok is touchscreen, so sorry about that. And the pager, you just have your buttons. This guy is not touchscreen, although you do have your joystick here and a knob to move around here. And I already went really in depth on this guy. This is my own antenna I added on the side. It only just has a 3 on the top. But you have your GPIO for a flux capacitor and the first 5 volt. So here's the flipper 0. It has the GPIO and it has the first 5 volt pins right here on the Banshee baked in. So you could take like your flux capacitor, for example, and attach it here on the side. You could have your USB for programming. You have a black light, you have a flashlight, you have a USB. And then you also have an SD card, same GPIO that you would use for some certain RFID modules, and M5 stack, Grove port, Ethernet, and 2 IR receivers and 3 IR transmitters. Now that does mean we are going to have in this device, because it's huge, BLE, Wi-Fi, GPS, infrared, and we could connect to NFC by just plugging it aside, or through like a Chameleon Ultra, for example. And the new one does have bad USB. I still have not updated mine. Now, when I said I love word driving on this, I mean, it's because I do, okay? It has all your different Wi-Fi tags. You can see your environment. But if we go to BLE, I love this. We have an aerial detector. We could see aerial devices, which would be like your drones, track them, stop them, spoof them. I have so much fun with this guy. And then we also have our GPS. Now, the sweet thing about word driving with this is I just get up in my car, and you get pinpoint accuracy. I mean that because with the pager, it just says connected or not connected, and you're going. This guy, it says connected, off by like 1 or by like 30 feet or whatever, and it'll keep connecting to different satellites and more satellites until it connects. And almost instantly, with an internal ceramic GPS and a external GPS, which you could add. And that's the sweet thing about this. You could take the antenna off anytime because it does have the ceramic one on the inside of the device, which you normally wouldn't be able to do with antennas. Now, does this make... Oh, and you have your IR. So does this make it the best tool? Well, no. It is priced at $285 USD, and I did have to pay $50 shipping to get to the US, and it is an amazing tool. But is it the best? Is the Wi-Fi Pineapple Pager the best? Is the Awok Dual C5 the best? Well, of course I have my favorite, but I don't want that to influence you. And I say that because, well, I mean, they are so different, and everybody has their own uses for this type of stuff. So, there you go. If you want to learn more about these devices and which ones you found interesting, I mean, go check out my full videos on them. And if you're like, Ilya, give us an answer, well, like I said, it's hard because they all do different things, and some people just want to attack and be skids. Some people want to learn about the stuff. And I feel like that's why each one does stuff differently. I will say I carry around my Banshee, I carry around my pager probably the most. I use my Banshee a lot. And I mean that because they're all such good devices, and I love them all. So thank you to the Wired Hatters. Thank you to Hack 5. They're on the partnership wall. They actually sent me 2 of these to test with. And then Awok. And that is really it for today's video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. Hope you guys learned something. I hope you learned about 2.4 gigahertz networks and 5 gigahertz. And how each device is differently, and hope you can now go out into the world thinking, okay, let's buy this device, and of course do some more research to figure out what you want. But that is it for today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Join the Discord, ages 13 to 17. It's a place where young people could get into the cybersafe community in a safe way and learn a lot about the stuff they're doing, especially if any questions from this video. A lot of people want to learn how to program their devices and stuff, and that's why the Discord's there. So I'll leave it in the description. I'll leave a link to each of these devices other than the Awok, but I will leave a link to the store if you want to check them out, because it is not out yet. I do think it's supposed to be coming out like next month, but don't quote me, don't quote me. And that really is it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and yes, okay, I promise the lab tour is coming soon. I'm still waiting on a bunch of stuff, because I reached out to a bunch of companies, and they all sent me a bunch of stuff, so I'm waiting for stuff to come in the mail. I'm just going to make a big video, like, this is the new setup, I got to send this, and that, and I mean, it is pretty cool. Oh, what? No sneak peeks. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.